everyone. Mel and I are back, and I thank you for continuing to watch Conversations with Jennylyn. And for those of you who have followed me over the years, no, this is not the only kind of content I'm going to bring you. But right now, I was asked to share this with you, and I really thought Mel and I were going to do a couple of segments and be done. But my thoughts are not in alignment with the universe and what is unfolding. And because this is unknown territory for both Mel and I, she has her skills and I have mine. And together we are a great team and we have done amazing things. But what we are dealing with is beyond both of our comprehension. So if you are having difficulty understanding, we get it. We still are learning. Every time we connect a dot, we're like, oh my God, oh, so we had to do this before we had to do this, and it's because of this. And as we discover things, we are sharing them with you. So the ongoing saga continues. And this week, I'm just going with the flow and sharing what happened over the last 2 days and during the week last week. And then Mel can share her part of what she's experienced in this drama. My friends call it intriguing drama. So I wanted to start off by telling you that frequently over the last 2 months, or maybe at least 6 weeks, I get a phone call at work. It comes from a 71, no, sorry, it comes from a 518 area code. And the person who's, when I answer, does not say anything. They just stay on the phone. And it's almost like they're listening to my voice. And for the longest while, because it's happening on my work phone, I thought it was connected to the job. It's someone calling in from another country because we deal with international business. And for some reason, the call isn't connecting. That's what I thought. I did not think Sandra Tongue and her scavengers would go this far. Well, on Friday, I got the call. And I answered, and I heard my guides tell me, look at the number. And I looked at the number, and I noticed immediately after I hung up the phone, my chest got really tight, and I got a massive attack. One that my chest felt like I had a rock in it, and both of my arms, I felt a cramping pain. So I reached out to Mel and I told her what had happened. In a typical Mel form, she says, let me see what's going on and clear you. And a few minutes later, I get a text. I did a clearing. How do you feel? And she always successfully clears me. Thank God and thank Mel. But I decided this time I'm going to write this phone number down and I will go and check it out. And sure enough, the phone number is coming from somewhere right near where I live, in this general vicinity of my home address, which is where I suspect the Chinese live. Sandra Tongue scavengers, because they're always roaming around my neighborhood on foot. So I suspect they live somewhere around here. And so I want you to know, Sandra Tongue, I've Googled the number, I've mapped the number, and I know the owner of the number. And I will be reporting this to the authorities because you are now going too far. You're rummaging through my trash. So you're going through my trash. You're going through all my personal belongings. I don't even feel comfortable in my own home. I can't put my trash out and leave it. And now you're harassing me at work. And I had another car accident, which I will share about later in the show. But the one thing I want you to know, once again, I was T-boned, and at the same time, the same place, the same day, the same month last year, I was hit by a city bus. This year, same month, same day, same time, same place, I was also hit by a minivan, T-boned. And we've been able to link this to you, Sandra. And what you have done to my car to make it invisible so people don't see me, and that's why everyone keeps running into me. But at this point, I will bring Mel in, and then I will come back and share what happened in my neighborhood yesterday, because today is a new moon. And we didn't even know it was a new moon, but after we saw what was happening, we discovered that there was a new moon today. And as we've told you in previous segments, these evil people use the moon to do their dirty work. So, Mel, welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Jennylyn. Thank you, thank you.
So much going on all the time.
All the time, yes.
I'm going to let you share, Mel, what you want to share about what we've discovered, what you are safe to share regarding what we discovered last week, why we're dealing with this.
Okay. Well, briefly, I want to touch on the voice thing. Obviously, I don't do witchcraft, but I believe that by your voice connecting with whatever it is that they're doing, it allows the energy or the dark energy to find you. Okay. So they do this in different forms. You have mentioned in one of your other segments that you were followed into the store by one of the Chinese women, and you even have a photo. Took a photo of her, and right after that, you could tell that that you were being attacked. So she was the carrier. Okay, so and this is why you have them roaming your neighborhood, not just to scavenge or look in your trash for personal items that they can use in rituals. So we just want to be perfectly clear. They're looking for personal items, probably hair or any kind of that thing to use. But also, from what I've now learned, is that they use a physical vessel to carry the dark magic to the victim, so to speak. And they also use other methods, including voice, okay, to find its target. That's the way. And maybe the spell is set up as such that whatever voice is picking up the phone will actually be getting this. Now, it would be interesting to see if anybody else was picking up the phone, if they would be attacked. Okay, I don't know if this is specific. And let me actually hold on a second. I may be getting a channel about this right now. Let me ask. It's specific to you. So somehow they are making it specific to you. And to your person, and are connecting your voice to it. So I want your coworkers to know that if somebody else is picking up the phone, they're not going to be getting that. Okay, so I just wanted to understand that.
Yes, because I don't want them to freak out about
They're
this.
not, and I want to be perfectly sure about this, and I dare saying no. It's connected to you, okay, to your person, because that's the spell who's for. It's just that the method of delivery, that's what it is. It's the method of delivery that requires your voice at that very moment, okay, because the magic or something else that just it cannot be it cannot reach you. You got to remember that those people aren't as well versed as Dutchman was. Okay, so these people need assistance in different ways, or do it differently, and they doing it by person and by and through the phone. And the only one who could do those rituals and without any of that was, I believe, Sandra. She was powerful enough to do it without. Okay, but those people you call scavengers are not. Okay, they are. I wouldn't call them novices per se, but they're not skilled enough. Their power isn't strong enough for that. Okay, and I'm actually channeling this. I'm saying, because I asked my spirit team to make sure that I don't say anything that's incorrect here. Okay, and I can tell that they're guiding my words when I'm explaining this. Okay, so that was that. Now, with regard to your car, obviously, as you mentioned, it happened on the same day. The same month. I mean, what are the odds, right? No coincidence
Same
here.
day, same month, same time, same place.
Right. So what we figured out was that, and I had gone in and I had cleared your car many times. I have looked for things, and the one thing that actually was I was made aware of, and they're talking to me again. Hold on, let me get that info. They're actually telling me, and I think I told you this, they're telling me that it wasn't there before. That's why I did not find it. Okay, they're telling me that this was done probably in approaching that date, or probably in an effort to sort of renew whatever was there before. Again, I'm not an expert on witchcraft. I don't do witchcraft, but okay, this is going to sound strange. I'm getting a visual. I'm getting a visual, literally showing me a calendar. And they're showing me that this woman, Sandra, literally has a calendar with marks, marking things, dates on there and things, so that it's sort of like she's scheduling stuff.
We need to go rip it up.
I mean, let's just
What
it's
is
literally okay.
wrong?
Okay, maybe she has other people's names on there. Whoever, whatever. I don't know, but this is what they're showing me. She literally, there's literally a calendar, that makes her aware of, on this day we need to do this for that. So she gets all her ducks in a row. I guess, I mean, it makes sense if she's been very busy over these last 20 years. You can't do it all in your with your mind, right? But yeah, that's why the date was marked. Okay. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's why it came, and that's why they're telling me I didn't see this before. And the reason, and kind of what you were referring to, is that your car was invisible. When I tuned in, when we were made aware of this, is basically is that there's a spell that sort of makes others not see. Okay. And clearly people, it doesn't take away their eyesight, but you kind of cloak something, and that was your car. And we had to take that down. Unfortunately, we didn't know this beforehand, or else I would have done that beforehand. Um, and this is the kind of thing that when you're dealing with people like this, you don't really know to what lengths these people actually go through in order to do that, right? In order to cause harm. I mean, who knew? Who knew that she would have marked the day? And who knew? And again, it's the 22nd, right? 11/22. I want people to understand how powerful the number 11 is, and the double 11. Okay. There's a reason. These people who are doing this, they're not just witchcraft. They're not just magi. They're not just, Satanists. They understand spirituality. They understand astrology. They understand the power of numbers, all of that. Okay. And they infuse that into their practice. All right. So I want people to understand that. And that's why 11/22. Okay. Very powerful number, but not powerful for you, apparently, powerful for them in order to, obtain whatever it is that they want to obtain. Yeah. So,
So, Sandra Town, I've been telling you, and I'm going to tell you again. You can send your whole scavenger village and every single person you have that you're paying to do witchcraft against me. You will never kill me. You cannot kill me. Let me tell you something you might be missing. I have all of the hierarchy in the spiritual realm of light and love protecting me. I came here with a divine mission from God, and no Chinese dark witch like you and your scavengers will get in the way of that. When you had a chance to do it, you couldn't. It's not now that I'm awake and have a spiritual army I know protecting me are you going to do it. But what will end up happening is your workers will end up behind bars because I've got pictures of them all, including the one who was at the front of my house yesterday. And I will come back to this when Mel is finished what she is saying. But I think it was the 21st, Mel.
Oh,
It
was it?
it was on Thursday the 21st.
Okay.
So it's
Right. Well,
11:21.
okay.
Place, same time. The year before, I was hit by a city bus, same date, same month, same place, same time. Any of you watching this, go figure. I'm sorry, but I will never believe that is coincidence.
No.
I remember the night when it happened. Thank God I was okay. I called Mel. I go, Mel, you're not going to believe this. I just got hit again. And she's like, oh no. And I said, Mel, I don't think that was just a random accident. And Mel said to me, well, life is still happening, Jennylyn, because I don't think she wanted to believe where I intuitively was being told it was not a random accident. And then I let it go because she's got her hands full between me and Chinese woman now hired people to do what she cannot do. So we're still dealing with her through third parties. At that point, we were still dealing with Dutchman, and I was being attacked like on the hour. And so I didn't want to continue to lay this on her. And so I just backed off with it, but I kept hearing not an accident, not an accident, not an accident. Until finally I looked up the accident I had last year where I was hit by the city bus and I realized same month, same date, same time, same place. I'm like, that's why they're telling me, my guides are telling me to tell Mel it's not a random accident. And so Mel removed what is there. But my car is on my street, and these Chinese people are constantly in my neighborhood. So we are just going to have to be vigilant because they're sick. These are not normal people. And so, what's to stop them from coming back and trying to do something to my car again?
Right, right. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess I was wrong with the date, but that's okay. They don't need a specific date. But just for future reference, a lot of times the numbers play a big role too. So I wouldn't be surprised if we come across that during. So far, we have not. So but I'm going to keep an eye on that because I was just made aware of this. Yeah. So, there was a point after that, I believe, and I'm trying to recall now where Dutchman was kind of pulled away, was kind of taken away or taken out of commission, if you so will, right? And that's the part that I don't know if I can actually speak on here today. Something happened last weekend. After the show, we did this particular segment, right, from last weekend that forever changed something for me and with this case. Now I'm going to go tap in and see what it is that I can share.
Okay.
Subject without overstepping any kind of boundaries. Okay. All right. Well, I guess there's some things I can say. They're telling me that I can share what has happened because this is something that I'm able to do, and therefore it falls under my gifts. I don't know. I mean, this is a new gift that came into play. And Jennylyn, you know this. I was a little freaked.
Can I introduce this
Yes,
story?
of course.
So I am so excited she can share this because when she told me this, I could not stop thanking my lucky stars that they brought me to Mel or Mel to me, whichever way you want to look at it. So last week after the show ended, and I'm sure if you watched it, you will see the number of interferences we had. You could hear these things yourself on the video. And at the end of the video, I was attempting to edit like I do every week. And I had massive attacks. As a matter of fact, At the end of each show, Mel and I sit and we just sort of catch up and have a face to face, because we never see each other face to face unless we do this. And in the middle of our conversation, the attack started. We could hear him, Mel could hear him. And then I said, Mel, I better hang up and go and edit before he messes with the equipment. And sure enough, it was a challenging edit because I was putting little clips and pieces in, and he came in and froze my computer. So all the work I had done, I lost. And I edit all the time. Within a half an hour, I edit a show. So I did what I didn't want to do. I messaged Mel and I go, Mel, he's messing with my computer. It keeps freezing. I can't edit. I keep losing my work. And then, Mel, you can take over from there because I just heard something.
You just heard something. Okay. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Well, let's find out. Okay, here's the thing. Um, because we're about to talk about it, that's why.
And you are freezing now, which you weren't doing before. But keep going.
Oh, is that what it is really? Okay. Well, I guess he wants to show his strength.
Okay.
The one thing I want to tell you all is that previously when he was messing with your equipment, he was doing so by casting spells. Okay, he's a master at casting spells.
Okay.
He would truly consider to be it's a magi. It's a warlock. It's somebody who is a master at his craft. Okay, because he's also not fully human. But that aside from the point. But and that makes a difference here. Okay, he's not fully human. Okay, there's a half of him, or yeah, half. Okay, they're correcting me. It is half of him is reptilian, and we've mentioned this before. Now, so when he was messing with your equipment last week, he wasn't doing it by spell. And I didn't know this. So when I went in, I was looking for magical threads, right? Like I always do, in order to take them apart, in order to prevent them from coming back and messing stuff or clearing whatever is in your computer, whether it's some kind of acid, ethereal, whatever it is that they do, or he does rather. But what I found was something altogether different. What I found was his him using his telepathy, his telepathic skills, his mental skills to affect matter, to affect the equipment. And you have mentioned this before in your other one of your other stories, that he used to turn up the volume right from the car, radio. His mind. This is the kind of telepathic power we're talking about. So he wasn't casting spells. And why wasn't he casting spells? Because he can't. Okay, let's be perfectly clear about that. He was doing that way before and he's not. So he was using his mind to affect it. And he was actually quite successful because he froze your computer when I came. So when I went in there and I tuned in, I thought, again, I was looking for threads, magical threads, and I didn't find them. Instead, I found him and his telepathy. Okay, that's the best way I can describe it. And now here's the thing. Just to reiterate, okay, energy, everything's energy. So whether it is your thoughts, or if it's a spell, or if it's a physical something, it doesn't matter what it is. Energy, everything's energy, and as such, energy can be manipulated. It can be dealt with. So to me, it's no difference whether I work with a magical spell, if I know what to do with it and dismantle, or if it is somebody's mind or thoughts. Okay, and that's the way I approach the situation. So I go in and I ask my spirit team, tell me what it is I need to do, and I start working with my hands, and doing my stuff, and not in a million years thinking what happened next, because this is what really startled me and kind of freaked me out, to be honest with you, because this is, yeah.
Freaked out when you told me.
Right, right. So what happened basically is that I was able to hold on a second here. Okay. I was manipulating the energy with the intention of removing it from the computer and transmuting it. Okay, that's normally what happens. Instead, what happened was I was wrangling with the energy because his thoughts, he's so stubborn and he's so strong-minded. It was really, really difficult. And I was wrangling with whatever this was. And I didn't hear his thoughts. I just knew it was connected to his mind power. So I was wrangling with the energy connected to his mind power. When the next thing I know, I find myself stopping and looking funny. And I freeze. Literally, and I freeze in the position that I was doing the work in. And I thought to myself, what is happening here? And I could feel the reptilian part of him completely in the energy that I was basically manipulating, which doesn't really happen because I usually work with his, with his spells, and his thoughts were, normal, like human beings are. That's what I thought. Well, to make a long story short, Jennylyn, is I found myself as I was sitting there, freezing. I realized that I had trapped his thoughts, his whatever he was doing to do your thing. I trapped them. I trapped it. Just like I wasn't transmuting it, I trapped it somehow. And then I thought to myself, how can I trap this? Okay, what do I do with it? When the next thing I know, literally, I took on the stance of I could feel the reptilian part, and I knew that I was touching onto something reptilian, and I hear him all of a sudden, let me go, let me go, let me go. And I kid you not, I was in his mind. That's the best way I can describe it. I was there, and that's when you said, oh, my computer works. And I'm like, yeah, yeah. I didn't know what to do, and I wanted to ask my spirit team, and they're like, shh, shh, because I was in this guy's mind. I kid you not, I somehow penetrated his mind, and I didn't just penetrate his human mind. I was in the reptilian part of his mind. Or maybe his mind is reptilian to begin with. I don't know. Maybe that's all he has. But whatever it is, it's reptilian. And he was yelling at me, and he was fighting me. His thoughts were fighting, but he couldn't. All I wanted to do was contain him long enough so that he wasn't manipulating your equipment while you were editing it. That was my whole purpose. Okay. That was what I wanted to do. So, and we succeeded because you
ended. It went on for a while. You were
yes. And I stood there, I was like this, and I could feel the reptilian, and I could hear him yelling at me. And all I thought was, oh my gosh, I don't know what this is, but that freaks me out. Let's just get it over with. And that's kind of, because it's new to me. I didn't do that before. And so finally you finished it, and I let him go. Okay. And that was it. And I told you about it. And I could sense he was quiet after that. I could sense he was shocked. Okay. And I actually heard him in my mind as I was in his mind. How do you do that? How did you do that? He was questioning how I did that. Well, the only reason why I was able to do that is because I was wrangling with the thoughts and the powerful, thoughts and intention that he had put in your computer, right? What he was doing. That's how I gained access. I didn't try to go and say, I'm going to go in Dutchman's mind. That's not what I was doing. I was literally wrangling with his powerful energy, and then somehow, poof, it took me there. By capturing that, it took me there. Freaked me out, to say the least. But so it took me a while that evening, and you know this, is I have to sit with this. I don't know how I feel about this. Okay. It was really, really weird. But somehow I knew that this would potentially be of importance. Okay. Because my spirit team does not do anything or allow me to do anything that is not of importance, that I shouldn't be doing. Okay. So in other words, I want your audience to understand I would not have been able to do this was I not meant to. Okay. And so he was shaken up. He was quiet. We did not hear from him. I think the next day, I don't even think we heard from him the next day. He was so shaken up. And um what that basically what that basically means is that he knew, and from what I found out is this, is that once you access the reptilian mind, once I've accessed it, I can access it again without having to wrangle with his energy or with his thoughts. So my spirit team said, guess what, Mel? You have now access to him. And he knew this. He knows this. Okay. And that was the key here. Now, I by no means want to go in this man's mind. Okay. I have no desire to go in anybody's mind. But it's the part about the reptilian that is of significance here. Okay. Because we tried this out. And this was just to see what would happen. I don't know anything about this. Was it the next day? I don't know. Or was it the following day? I don't know. But you had a bunch of reptilians in your home, right? And I said to my spirit team, I said, okay, well, let me figure this out. What can I do here? And the next thing I know, poof, here I go. They're making me go back into his mind. And I thought to myself, oh no, we're not going there again. But here it was. And again, I'm being guided to do this. And I'm channeling the information. I'm literally getting the information that I'm saying into his mind. Not into his mind, but yeah, into his mind, pretending to be him. I kid you not. This is going to sound awful, but I basically used his brain to command the reptilians who were in your home to stand back and not engage. And you told me, I don't know why the next day, I don't know why they didn't do anything. I could feel it, but nobody was doing anything. And I said, oh my God, it worked.
I remember I could feel them there, I could smell them, but they never touched me. And I thought, why did they come here? And then Mel told me what happened.
Right. And I think I knew this was only temporary because he figured it out. He knew that I went and did this. Okay. Or maybe he didn't figure it out right away. I don't know. But here's the thing. When you have access to his thing, I was also able to take some measures for him to lash out or do something with his mind, because again, it wasn't my purpose to infiltrate somebody's mind and reptilian or not, and to mess with it. But when it comes to the safety of someone, or preventing what's ever happening to you, if my spirit team is guiding me to do something, I'm going to do it. Okay. Because that man is bad news. All right. He's bad news on so many levels. And I don't say this lightly because I really, really have compassion for many people. But what basically happened is I sort of restricted his thoughts. Yeah. I went in one more time to restrict his thoughts, to sort of not allow him not to be able to engage, for him not to be able to telepathically be able to communicate. I don't ask me how I did that. Don't ask me how, but I was guided to do it. Again, the whole purpose of it is so that he can't operate with those reptilians that he's communicating with. And well, this opened a whole nother can of worms after that, right? Because basically the whole premise of it is, and we can say it on here, I believe. Yes. Okay. We can say that he sort of shot himself in the foot. Yes, because what we figured out, right, Jennylyn, is by him messing with your computer system, with his thoughts, and by me having gained access to his mind, I was told he cannot deny access. I now have access to his mind. He cannot block me out. This is something that, and I don't understand why that is. But here's the thing. This, again, I don't go in there. I don't. And I haven't had the need to. But what it allows is that by doing that, he compromised himself. Because now the other reptilians and the hierarchy of the reptilians caught on. They caught on, yes, they caught on that Dutchman is compromised.
That's what arrogance will do.
In other words, in other words, basically, if Dutchman gives the command, are you sure it's coming from him or is it coming from somebody else? Okay, that's the kind of compromise we're talking about, because the reptilians can't can't discern if it's me talking through him or if it's him talking through him. Right, him talking, right? And that's what. And so they put a stop to him. Okay, I don't know how, but they um he hasn't really been on my radar very much at all since then, because again, he's compromised and they take that very seriously. But we unleashed something else, right?
We did. We did. And we may want to say, you want to talk about it tonight?
We can touch on it, maybe we don't have to
Yes.
go into
And then
detail,
we can,
but
yeah.
yes, but we somehow, because of him being compromised within the reptilian hierarchy and within the organization called the Eye, um, they got sort of wind of it. Okay. And as I've mentioned before in other videos, that at the Eye headquarters, when we were dealing with the Dark Witch, I found or was made to believe that there's 4 involved in that department or whatever it is, that section, right? And it was the Dark Witch we were dealing with. It was another Dark Witch. It was a male dark witch or warlock, and it was another female. Okay, which was she was a head priestess, a high priestess. Okay, and I remember I told you, and I don't know if I said this here, but the high priestess of that section is full blown shapeshifter reptilian, correct? So whereas Dutchman is a half breed, is what my team calls him, and that's my team calling him. It's not derogatory; it just is. That's just the way it is. He's a half breed. She, on the other hand, is a full blown. Okay, just like his grandmother is or was rather. Okay, I mentioned that before. So now, for some reason, and we always know when things shift, because when Dutchman had this episode and he was compromised, all of a sudden the Dark Witch was added again, right? The Dark Witch, the one from before, did the attack. So I went on the offensive and defensive, and I did something with the Dark Witch, a little bit more stronger than I did before. And I went into more other things. I actually messed up some of her stuff that wasn't really maybe even part of your stuff. I messed up some stuff. Okay, just put it that way. And when I mean messed up some stuff, energetically release things that they have carefully placed, like we do. Yeah. So, and I think now looking back, Jennylyn, I think I was asked to do this to bring out
The big
the
guns.
the big one, to
The
bring
big
out the big one.
guns. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
The big guns.
Because it didn't take long before High Priestess figured it out. And I knew, because as a reptilian, she's so tuned in and sensitive to everything that goes on around her, that she it was just a matter of time. And she did. She found out. So, needless to say, it has been quite a ride, because this this high priestess, now full-blown reptilian, by the way, who walks around as human beings, and what I'm told is those who are working with her don't know she's full reptilian. Okay, so it's a shapeshifter. She comes in human form. Okay, um so she has now taken on it upon herself to get involved with regard to you. And
guys, are you guys seeing how I'm making my way through the dark realm
yes,
without
yeah.
even doing anything in my innocence? You see? Anyway, Mel, keep going.
Oh, I know. Um, I, I don't know how much I want to release this segment about this, but let's just say, I believe that now we were guided to her. Okay, basically, throughout taking down the different fractions or different pieces, she's like the baddest of the bad in that area. And just so you know, okay, we've talked about this before, that it involved little ones. Okay, what happened? Okay, that the Dark Witch did the last time, and she's the head of that department. Okay, so you can only imagine what she does on a regular basis. She's worse than the Dark Witch, and the Dark Witch was bad. Okay, so let's just put that out there. Okay, we're talking about someone who has zero empathy. Okay, not that the Dark Witch had any, but none of them really do. I just, it's really, really sad. But they just no empathy, and she now has. But here's the thing: I want to go back, and they're making me aware of this. Remember, she's reptilian, and remember, well, hive mind. Okay, I don't know if I mentioned this, but they have a hive mind.
What's that?
A hive mind is a mind or a consciousness wherein one person is at the head, and everything spreads through, like the commands are spread through, okay, through that consciousness to everybody else, okay? Whereas us human beings, individuals, we each have our own minds, right? It's separated, right? Which is why Dutchman, for instance, can tap in and knows what his reptilian friends on the other side of the world do. Okay, they can tap into that consciousness, or by that hive mind setting. They know they can connect their thoughts. Now, keep in mind, Jennylyn, I penetrated the hive mind by penetrating one brain. What does that mean? Actually, I didn't know what that meant until my spirit team said, you gain access to one, you gain access to them all. Those are the words that they told me. And that kind of freaked me out too, because I'm like, what am I going to do? What does that do for me, having access to a reptilian mind? Like, what in the world am I going to do about this? Right. And well, I've used it with regard to her, the high priestess, so far, in terms of that I accessed, I didn't go into her mind. I'm not doing anything with her other than communicating, but communicating not through this segment here, okay, but communicating directly into her mind, what it is she's dealing with. So I was channeling information connected to her mind, channeling information, and basically told her what she's up against. And do you know that I also was able to hear what she did then? Right after that, she told one of the people, and I heard this, and I could sort of loosely see this, one of the female people that were there, she called them she told them to go get somebody else, which I'm assuming is a reptilian person or someone from another department. And she called it an emergency meeting. I didn't tell you this, but that's what she did.
When was this? Not yesterday.
No, that was a few days ago. Yeah. That was a few days ago. She called, and it was the first time, it was right after you were you had a really rough time. Like, that was a day that, they had me go and do, because I want your audience to understand something. And this is something that I'm learning too here. That, in the way that you handle darkness, magical spells, or demonic attachments or entities, or the reptilians, all of these things are handled differently. Okay, so in other words, Sandra, I was able to handle completely different to what I was able to handle Dutchman. Dutchman was more difficult because of the reptilian part of him. Okay, there are some things that I couldn't do that I could do to Sandra that I couldn't do to him. Okay, because of that reptilian part of him that prevented me from doing that. Now when we're talking about the high priestess that is fully reptilian, again, you have to think of not being able to do other things, other things. So she's being handled completely different and she's being approached completely differently, and I'm just allowing myself to be guided here, and I'm not, going after her. But she knows that I was able to get into her mind, which I should not have been. And she knows, and this is why she called this emergency meeting, okay, with whomever it was. And I believe it was a male. It felt like she was calling an emergency meeting with a male. And I think that male might have been another full-blown reptilian in another department. So that's the feeling I get. So now, and remember, it all goes back to why can't she access our minds? Oh yeah, because Dutchman made a mistake. And Dutchman, you know, Dutchman's
Open the door for you.
opened the door. He opened the door again. I said this to your viewers before. It's like I don't seek this out, and I told Dutchman this on here before. Okay, I do not seek these people out. I do not seek to engage. Okay, in this unless they come to your door and my door. Okay, and they do. So if you come to your door and to my door, then I have no choice but to engage, and I do what I can in the way that I can. And it just so happens that when he messed with your equipment, that's led to the open door. And he's now. I mean, we haven't really. He hasn't really been involved at all. It's been her, all like literally. Now you tell me, Jennylyn, why that is. If why would someone like that be involved if he could still do all that stuff? He can't. That's why. He can't. They shut him down because he's compromised. And I don't know what's in store for him in the future, but I don't think it looks good. You're within the hierarchy of the reptilians. That's not a good thing to be. Okay. All right. And I don't know. I know I'm speaking openly on here about it, and some of you might, wonder what does that do for you, Mel? Aren't you afraid that you can do this now? I've been in this involved from the beginning. Okay, since you brought me in there. Okay, they've had me on their sort of bullseye list, for a while. But I also want to say, all right, that I have some extraordinarily protection. All right, that cannot be penetrated by reptilians. I can tell you that right now, because even before you came into my life years ago, there was an attempt. Okay, and it was unsuccessful. Multiple attempts. I was on their radar for not doing anything, for just being me, but they couldn't. Okay, so I just want to be perfectly clear about this. That I'm not worried. I'm not worried about it, and I don't think about it either. And I'm not just saying that to make a point. I genuinely believe that. And I'm here for a reason. I'm doing something. I don't know where this goes, but clearly the point of it is that we went from the least powerful. We're working our way up to the top of the chain, it seems like, in this. I don't understand. And we had no intention. It's just all of a sudden we find ourselves here and we don't even know why, right? I mean, we know why, but it wasn't our intention to do that. It seems to be like constantly leading us somewhere else.
Well, basically, there's a much bigger picture, and
Right.
Sandra Tong just sort of opened the door, but she's kind of been put on the wayside, and she has a group of scavengers in my part of the world that are doing her dirty work for her. But listen to me, you scavengers, and all of you that are in her employ, you are finished. And by the way, we are out of time, but I want to leave this before we go. Phone number 518-737-4061. The police have got it now, because this is the number that I am being harassed at my work daily on. Okay? Next thing I want to say before I go. Sandra Tong, you cannot take me down, and I don't know how many times I have to tell you this. Real quickly, because we're out of time, I try not to make these videos too long. Yesterday, I was going out and I was preparing. I had to take something outside. I made 2 attempts to go outside to take it, and each time I was distracted. When I eventually took it out, I'm in my yard in the corner that's not really visible from the street, breaking down a box that had come with a package that arrived through Amazon. And I was breaking the box down to discard it. And I see this woman coming. She would always try to cover herself up. And I looked up, and she was one of Sandra Tung's scavengers coming toward my house. She did not expect, but you see how protected I am? She did not expect to see me crouched down in the corner of my yard breaking the box down. And I looked up, and immediately Spirit told me, look up, my guides. And I looked up, and I said, you B. I said the B word. I was so mad. Get off my property. And she acted like she didn't understand what I said and was waving at me like I was her friend. And she no sooner went her way, and boom, I had a massive attack. And I started texting Mel because I was preparing to go out. And it got really bad. I had this heaviness in my chest that I used to feel when Sandra Tong was doing her stuff. So she's clearly training them on how to do what she used to do that's been taken away from her, or they already know how to do it. And I messaged Mel. And then as I was about to walk out of my house, and next week we will share a story with you about a squirrel, something that happened way back in California, and we just got I said the squirrel, and we just got the. So something happened with the squirrel long ago in California, which I didn't connect to all of this. But you've heard me, since I'm relating this story, talk about these squirrels that follow me. And on Thursday, when I was driving home from work, this dream was brought back to me, and the experience that unfolded with the squirrel, which I shared with Mel. And she looked into it, found out what it was, and dismantled it. And she goes, I took care of the squirrel. So last night on my way out, there is a tree at the front of my house that I had to walk past to go to the car that was taking me out. And there was a squirrel on the tree, and I will put the picture in this video so you can see for yourself. It was on the tree, and it turns its head, and the eye was cocked looking at me. So it was obvious that they were trying to say, well, you and your Mel think you've taken us out. Well, here we are doing our dirty work as always. And then as I got into the car that was taking me where I was going, I saw a cat that had showed up at my house last Saturday. Never seen it before. It was in the kitchen window looking at me, and shortly after I got attacked, I saw that same cat at my front door, and I messaged Mel. And Mel, you could quickly tell them what you found, what you did, and then we'll wrap this up till next week. Because so much
Yeah.
happened in a week, an hour is not enough.
Right, right. Well, with regard to the woman, what she left, again, when I mentioned earlier, they need carriers. So the woman, just like the one in the store, was carrying dark energy or dark magic with her, and released it, to you when she was there. And what I found when I initially looked in, there was a big demon in your front yard. That's the best way to describe it. So that's what I found. And thankfully, I was able to get rid of that. And it's actually the demonic seemed so much more easier to handle than the reptilian energy. And I told you this. And I said this before, that on the hierarchy of dark energies, demonic is not as strong as reptilian energy. Okay, dark. So there's definitely a difference there. So it was easier to handle than the reptilian stuff. But the cat last week. If it's the same cat as last week, because I didn't.
It's the same exact cat. Same exact cat.
What I looked into, when I looked into it, I got that it was a familiar. And for those of you who don't know what a familiar is, it's basically sort of a sidekick of a witch or a warlock. Okay,
Embodying a cat?
cat. Usually cats. Usually black cats, if that, but not necessarily, but it's an animal, and it's usually cat form. All right. And they do their bidding. They sort of work with them. All right. So I think Now we have resorted. This is what I want your audience to see. You see how this goes? There was never the entire all these months I've been working with you. Not once was there a familiar involved. Okay. And the familiar, by the way, is comes from Dutchman. Yes. So now he has never had need. He's never had a need to send a familiar to your house. Again, it's a carrier. It's just like the person, and just like your voice. It's something that connects. So when you connect with that, it exchanges something. Now he has to send cats to your house to do it. So I just want your audience to understand how truly um complex this is. Okay, this isn't just going in, oh, you cut this off and you cut this off and it should be done. There are different things that they still have possibilities for, or can do, and now we're resorting to cats, to familiars. Yeah, so that's what it is. Okay, so I haven't really dealt with the familiar yet, and I don't feel called to right now. I don't know why, but as you know, I will do these things when my spirit team tells me to do it. So for now, that's how we leave it. Yeah.
Guys, we could go on because there is so much, which is why we have to write the book. Because in the book, we will have the details. We try to be as transparent, strange as these stories or these occurrences are. We tell you because we are giving you 100% transparency. Whoever is meant to benefit from what we share will. And although I know a lot of you won't get this, there's a percentage of you who will be helped from what I'm sharing, which is why I put myself out there every week. And I know I'm being judgy. You're looking at Mel and I and probably thinking, they're nuts. Think what you want. I
Okay.
don't really care. I am living this. She's helping me with it. And those of you who are meant to get it, like I said before, you will get it. And before I go, Dutchman and Sandra Town, you can't touch me. You can send these things, you can cause discomfort to my physical vessel. You can never touch my soul. And what you don't realize you're doing is digging your hole where you are going deeper and darker. But apparently, it's all you know. So, at some point in the near future, I hope that you can have energy to take care of yourself, much less try to bother me or anyone else, because you've already lost, and you are showing by the fact that you have to go and subpoena help through cats and through scavengers or whoever you're using. But look at me. You will see me rise up and up and up and never down. And that is my promise to you. So happy deep dark hole burning where you deserve to be. And guys, we will be back next week. Mel, I don't know if you want to leave them with a quick message until next week.
Well, I just, thank you for watching. And if this kind of stuff interests you, stay tuned.
Exactly. And one more thing, I'm compiling a file, Sandra Tongue. I have pictures of every scavenger, including the one that came yesterday because she's on my house camera, and everything you guys are doing, I have. And now the phone number. So the authorities are aware that your scavengers and you have been harassing me. And I have your address in California. And we will be back next week. Thank you, guys. Thank you. So sorry it's not a better story, but one day soon we'll have a good one for you. Bye.